We are on to A Course in Miracles, Workbook Lesson 20. I am determined to see. I am determined to see. We have been quite casual about our practice periods thus far. There have been virtually no attempt to direct the time for undertaking them. Minimal effort has been required, and not even active cooperation and interest have been asked. This approach has been intentional and very carefully planned. We have not lost sight of the crucial importance of the reversal of your thinking. The salvation of the world depends on it. Yet you will not see if you regard yourself as being coerced and if you give in to resentment and opposition. This is our first attempt to introduce structure. Do not misconstrue it as an effort to exert force or pressure. You want salvation. You want to be happy. You want peace. You do not have them now because your mind is totally undisciplined and you cannot distinguish between joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, love and fear. You are now learning how to tell them apart, and great indeed will be your reward. Your decision to see is all that vision requires. What you want is yours. Do not mistake the little effort that is asked of you for an indication that our goal is of little worth. Can the salvation of the world be a trivial purpose? And can the world be saved if you are not? God has one Son, and he is the resurrection and the life. His will is done because all power is given him in heaven and on earth. In your determination to see is vision given you. The exercises for today consist in reminding yourself throughout the day that you want to see. Today's idea also tacitly implies the recognition that you do not see now. Therefore, as you repeat the idea, you are stating that you are determined to change your present state for a better one, and one you really want. Repeat today's idea slowly and positively at least twice an hour today, attempting to do so every half hour. Do not be distressed if you forget to do so, but make a real effort to remember. The extra repetition should be applied to any situation, person, or event that upsets you. You can see them differently, and you will. What you desire, you will see. What you desire, you will see. Such is the real law of cause and effect as it operates in the world. All right, lesson 20, I am determined to see. There's a lot being said here. This is only one short page, but Jesus, who is the author of the Course, is saying quite a lot. So we're going to go through paragraph by paragraph, as we have been doing. We'll try to get at the some of the nuances of what is being said here. First paragraph, we have been quite casual about our practice periods thus far. And that's true. The lessons 1 to 19 were very light and pretty informal and easy to do. There have been virtually no attempt to direct the time for undertaking them. Minimal effort has been required, and not even active cooperation and interest have been asked. Jesus wasn't even asking that you believe what the lessons were. You don't have to believe it, and you don't have to do much except just do the lesson. That was until now. This approach has been intentional and very carefully planned. We have not lost sight of the crucial importance of the reversal of your thinking. So this is something that Jesus says often enough in the Course, is that A Course in Miracles is attempting at a complete thought reversal. We could put that in many ways maybe, but one basic way to put that is we are reversing the conditioning of the thought system of the ego, and we're aligning our thoughts with the Holy Spirit. Because we have been so conditioned to think along the lines of the ego, this is going to be an upheaval. It's going to be a complete reversal of everything that we now believe. And that's huge. That seems to be a huge undertaking, but Jesus assures us that this is doable. We have not lost sight of the crucial importance of the reversal of your thinking. The salvation of the world depends on it, yet you will not see if you regard yourself as being coerced and if you give in to resentment and opposition. So the salvation of the world depends on the reversal of your thinking. Your thinking, not anyone else's. There's a paradox here, which we'll get into more in a second, but there's only one Son of God. When one Son of God fully awakens, that helps everyone else. Well, the reality of, I think what Jesus is really getting at is that you only need one Son to save the entire world, because there is only one Son. When you awaken from the dream, everyone else awakens. Because time is illusory. And we think in terms of time and space, and sometimes we think that everyone outside of ourselves needs to be saved, that the world needs to be healed, that planet Earth is in trouble, and we need a savior. I think on a deeper level, there's some truth to that. We'd have to really go into that issue. But I think on a deeper level, none of that is really true. There's only, because everything is perfect as it is. And everything is in divine perfect order. And the only one that really needs to wake up is you. And when you awaken, as I said, you will realize that you are no different than God, not separate from God or anything else, and that everything really is one and everything is really already whole. That's the atonement principle. Everything is already one. There's really nothing to do. There's only the undoing of the thinking that is not true. Any part of ourselves that thinks that is not true, that is what needs to be undone, and that is really the thought reversal we're talking about. So the other thing that I want to mention in this paragraph is Jesus points out that he's not coercing us. He has crafted a very carefully organized plan of study, and the whole point of the course is to present things in a way that is non-coercive and where you do not feel resentment and opposition. That's what he says here. You don't feel any sense of resentment and opposition because you're choosing to do this, because you want to do this, not because someone is forcing you to do this. And that is love. Love does not force. Love does not coerce. Love only calls you, sings a beautiful song to you, and says, don't you remember? Don't you want to remember? Have you forgotten, my friend? This is our first attempt. This is the second paragraph now. This is our first attempt to introduce structure. Do not misconstrue it as an effort to exert force or pressure. You want salvation. You want to be happy. You want peace. You do not have them now because your mind is totally undisciplined and you cannot distinguish between joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, love and fear. Totally undisciplined. He doesn't say just a little, he doesn't just say undisciplined. He says totally undisciplined. You are totally undisciplined. Remember, this was originally coming to Helen. Helen was a brilliant woman. He's saying to her even, and Bill, your mind is totally undisciplined. Imagine saying this to, a genius. But the reality is that we're all dealing, even, no matter how smart you are, we're all dealing with the same thing here. And it doesn't matter how low IQ you are, it really does not matter. None of that matters. This is all about choice and desire and willingness. So if you have the willingness to do this inner work and train your mind, you will become disciplined. And your mind will become trained to separate what is real from what is not real. Love from fear. What else to say? Joy from sorrow. Pleasure from pain. You are now learning how to tell them apart, and great indeed will be your reward. And that is a reference to the Gospels. That is a reference to Matthew 5:12, where Jesus says, "Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." This is Jesus talking to his apostles, or his disciples, I forget which. All right, next paragraph. Your decision to see is all that vision requires. Your desire, your decision, your willingness to see. You want to see. I am determined to see. That's the lesson for today. What you want is yours. Do not mistake the little effort that is asked of you for an indication that our goal is of little worth. So all you need is a little desire, a little willingness. Jesus says that throughout the course. All you need is a little willingness, but don't take that to, as like what we say, you get what you pay for, right? Like, well, a little willingness is just going to give me a little bit something, right? But if I do a lot, if I have a lot of willingness and a lot of drive and a lot of desire, then I'm going to get something really big. But Jesus is saying, no, all you need is a little willingness, at least for right now. You just need the little willingness to start. And the little willingness is really going to turn into a great willingness when you see where this is going. But to start with, you just need the little willingness. Do not mistake the little effort that is asked of you for an indication that our goal is of little worth. Now, he doesn't say willingness, he says effort. So he's making a point that he's not asking a lot at this point. But what this is going to turn into a mind training that goes on all the time, right? But first, he's only asking a little bit of your time. Can the salvation of the world be a trivial purpose? And can the world be saved if you are not? God has one Son. This is something that Jesus said in the text. He made a point. He said, it's important to point out that God only has one Son. Other times in the text, Jesus speaks as if there are many sons of God. And on a certain level, there are many sons of God. We are all sons of God. In the illusion of separation, we are all separate sons of God. Maybe on other planes of existence, there are separate sons as well, but ultimately there's only one Son. This is why some people call A Course in Miracles non-dualistic, because ultimately there's only one. And the one Son is one with the Father. And there's no separation between the Son and the Father. There's no place where the Son ends and the Father begins, or the Father ends and the Son begins. And this is a point of contention in the world of Course in Miracles, but we won't go into it too much right now. And can the world be saved if you are not? God has one Son, and he is the resurrection and the life. This is something that Jesus says in John, Gospel of John, chapter 11:25. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he die, yet he shall live. Now, this was Jesus talking in the Gospel of John. I am the resurrection and the life. Here, Jesus is saying God has one Son, and he is the resurrection and the life. His will is done because all power is given him in heaven and on earth. And your determination to see is vision given you. Now, is this saying that Jesus is God's one Son? Or is this saying that we are all God's one Son, and we are all the resurrection and the life. It's not exactly clear, actually, but it seems to be saying, if taken in context with the whole Course in Miracles, like in the clarification of terms, Jesus says, "Is he the Christ? Oh, yes, along with you. You are also the Christ, right? You are also the Savior. No different. You don't believe that now, and you don't see that now, but you will. There can only be one, ultimately, and God does not play favorites, is his basic understanding here. God doesn't even know about the separation, is I think also a basic idea of A Course in Miracles. We're all the one Son of God. When one awakens from the dream, it is just a it is to show that it is possible, and that all in that awakening of that one Son, everyone awakened, because the one Son realizes that everyone is already awakened. They just don't realize it. It's only a matter of time. Time is an illusion. And I think that's the basic understanding here, is that all you need is that one Son to wake up, and they realize there's nothing to be done, right? It's already done. It's already been undone. The exercises, paragraph 4. The exercises for today consist in reminding yourself throughout the day that you want to see. Today's idea also tacitly implies the recognition that you do not see now, right? So you don't see now because your mind is totally undisciplined. So you want to see, and then, so you say this throughout the day. Therefore, as you repeat the idea, you are stating that you are determined to change your present state for a better one, and one you really want. Paragraph 5, repeat today's idea slowly and positively at least twice an hour today. So this is more than Jesus was asking in the previous lessons, attempting to do so every half hour. Do not be distressed if you forget to do so, but make a real effort to remember. The extra repetitions should be applied to any situation, person, or event that upsets you. So don't be discriminate, but be indiscriminate in how you use this. You can see them differently, and you will. What you desire, you will see. Such is the real law of cause and effect as it operates in the world. So the real law of cause and effect is based on what you want. What you want to see is what you will see. Projection makes perception. This is a very key point in A Course in Miracles. So what you want to see is what you will see. As you get more and more in touch with wanting to see with the eyes of love, you get closer and closer to the reality of God. So it's not just a matter of, well, I'm just going to see, I will only see what I want to see, right? So if I want to see love, I will see love, but that's not how it really is. I'm just projecting love out there, but Jesus is saying, no, the reality is as you choose to separate love from fear and the real from the unreal, you get closer and closer to the will of God. You get closer and closer to right-mindedness, right perception. And as you get closer and closer to right perception, right-mindedness, you are more and more ready to realize your oneness with God. Let's just point out one more thing. Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 10, where Jesus says in the third paragraph, his will is done because all power is given him in heaven and on earth. This is a conflation of two things in Matthew 6 and Matthew 28. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's 6. Matthew 28:18. And Jesus came and spake to them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. So the Son of God's will is done. All power is given to him. All power is given to you in heaven and on earth. You are the resurrection and the life. You can get to that understanding through practicing this course. It's not the only path to get there, but it is one that maybe is the right one for you. That's up to you to decide. It's up to each person to decide what path they want to take to go home again. And all I can say is thank you for listening and Godspeed, and we'll continue tomorrow with the next lesson. Thank you.